everybody, we are now halfway through 2018, and so over the last couple of weeks, several of you have been asking, what are my top picks for the year? What do I think is the worst of the year? And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to do a quick little 2018 rundown, and this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to talk about my biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, best comedy, bottom three, and then top three. But before I give my list, if you're a movie lover that wants to talk with some other movie fans, join us down in the comment section and give us your picks for those different categories. Biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, best comedy, bottom three, top three. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. In my biggest surprise for 2018 thus far, I'm going to go with the movie Upgrade. It came out about a month ago. It's a real simple setup, fairly low budget movie from the guy that wrote the Saw movies, and essentially it's like a mix of Death Wish, RoboCop, and Her. And if you like really violent action movies, I highly encourage you to check this one out. It's like a sci-fi, it's like true sci-fi with exploring kind of ideas, an interesting take on the way it does the violence. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. My biggest disappointment for 2018 thus far is unfortunately Ready Player One. Now, when I say biggest disappointment, what I mean is the movie that has the largest negative gap from my expectations and what it actually delivered. And for me, Ready Player One was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I've read the book before. Steven Spielberg is my favorite film director, and just the inherent nature, the content of the movie. There's a lot of potential for me to love it. And the movie, I give it a positive review, and I stand by that. And I thought about trying to rent it a couple days ago to show to my kids or something like that. But when it comes to what I was hoping it could be and what was actually delivered, the end result was, it just felt like a dumbed down version of the book. It took a lot of the intelligence out of the book, shoved it aside just for some trickery. The story was simplified. Everything was just simplified so much that it just left me very kind of disappointed with the film that I was actually given. All right, from there, let's move on to best comedy. And for me, easily the best comedy thus far this year was Game Night. Now, I was actually pretty excited about this one based on the trailer. I got kind of the vibe for what they were going for, and just the cast. Love this set of actors: Kyle Chandler, Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams. Always fun to see them on screen. And then the trailer seemed to have a little bit of a spark to it that I thought, I think I'm really going to dig this one. And it was just such a pleasant surprise from beginning to end. Lots of good laughs in the mix. And then even the way the movie's directed, the action sequences are actually pretty good. There's a fight in a kitchen, there's a car chase, and all of them are handled like actual action sequences. Sometimes comedies, when they do action, they nerf it down a little bit. Like, hey, we're a comedy, we don't need to put too much effort into this. That's not what this movie was like. It had a nice vibe to it. Even the way that like the scenes transitioned to the other ones was shot and directed in a way that was really quite cool. So easily my pick for best comedy thus far this year would be Game Night. All right, moving on to my bottom three films of the year. I'm going to cheat this category. I don't have good answers. Last year, I went to go see almost everything. This year, I've skipped a lot of stuff. And so I've got a few movies from the theaters, and I got a few movies that are direct-to-video, which I feel bad picking on a little bit. But I'll just kind of throw a few negative ones out there for you. As for the theater, first movie I saw this year was Insidious: Skeleton Key, and that was easily my worst theater experience thus far this year. The movie that was like the most like, oh, what is this? Put this into perspective, though. It's also the worst audience I've been in. There was a row of teenage boys in front of me. Before the movie started, they were literally watching porn on their phone, giggling. And then the movie started. About halfway through the movie, there's like a girl character that gets a little bit more prominent in the plot. And apparently, whenever this one girl would appear on screen, she was wearing a tight shirt. There were a couple things where it was a little bit showing off her curves, you might say. And every time I would do this, there was one of the guys in the group would play some clip on his phone, and I thought it was someone talking. I thought it was something going on, but it was just some just crass line from a comedian or something. I mean, just so crass. And he was just playing it out loud in the middle of the movie whenever they would show this girl that I guess he thought he was attracted to. So unfairly, somewhat to this movie, maybe if I saw it in a better context, it wouldn't make this particular place. But my memories of that movie were just so tainted by that experience, and I wasn't getting invested in the movie when they weren't pulling all of that crap. The other one from the theaters that wasn't too impressive to me was Proud Mary, another one I saw back in January. I like straightforward action movies, a straightforward action movie, and there just wasn't... I mean, it just felt like direct-to-video type quality of writing situations, and so it just didn't work particularly well for me. From there, we'll move on to some actual direct-to-video ones that there's a pretty big sharp drop from these two theater movies that were like professional enough, but just totally mediocre. And then just some garbage here at the bottom, direct-to-video movies. And they're both sequels to theatrically released films, so I don't feel too bad about it. First one being, I just watched it a couple days ago, Escape Plan 2 Hades, starring Sylvester Stallone and Dave Bautista, and it's just a dumpster fire. It's garbage. There's no real lead to the movie. The cover makes it seem like it's the same type of pairing. In the first Escape Plan, it was Schwarzenegger and Stallone, and then the cover of this one makes it appear as if it's Stallone and Batista. It's not really like that. The plot's disjointed. It's as if they wanted to be able to get a bunch of different people in the cast, but they only had Stallone for a week. They only had Batista for 5 days. They only had these guys for 2 weeks. And so then they wrote a script around having these characters in all these different places, and then, they're in one scene together or something like that. But just all over the place, not exciting, not about escaping a prison, really. It's sort of about a fight club in a prison, but not really. It's sort of about trying to find the prison, but not really. So just a movie that's not particularly good. And then the worst, just garbage I've seen this year was Deep Blue Sea 2. It's just garbage. So the original Deep Blue Sea is not a good movie, but it's just schlocky fun about a shark eating people and people trying to escape this place. With LL Cool J, Thomas Jane, just a fun cast, absurd type of movie, some great Samuel L. Jackson moments. This movie's just awful. I mean, it's just sort of a rehash of that movie with a little bit of Jurassic Park kind of mixed into it. Really dull, not nearly as absurd as it should be. It's played way too straight. It's played more straight and serious than the original one was, even though it's 20 years later and it's direct to video. So this one, it was pretty rough to get through. My wife loves bad shark movies, so let's check this one out. And we've, of course, had fun watching the original Deep Blue Sea because it's one of the great bad shark movies of all time. And then this was just terrible. From there, we will move on to my top 3 of the year. And these are all very solid entries that I thoroughly enjoyed. Third from the top is Black Panther. So obviously, I enjoy the Marvel Cinematic Universe, make a lot of videos about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Black Panther was another great solid entry in the franchise. A little bit more serious than most. Kind of a different flavor to in that regard, about a king and his kingdom, several different things like that just they keep finding new ways to still have that MCU shine on the whole thing. It still looks like the MCU, but they're different on the inside. And so they found a way to do that one more time with Black Panther. Coming in at second place for the year. And my 1 and 2 are two very different types of movies, so they could shift by the end of the year. They're kind of on my mind equal, but so different they're difficult to compare. But one came out a little bit before the other one. So my number 2 of the year is going to be A Quiet Place. So just such a cool concept for a film with such deep, rich emotions, great characters, great concept. And then rooting, of course, I'm always rooting for John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. And this movie just delivers on all the promise of the concept, the cast. It just works. And it's a movie you worry, like, am I going to get bored watching this movie? Is it going to go on too long? It's the right length. It's clever. It actually kind of pulls the heartstrings right from the beginning in ways I wasn't expecting going into it. Nothing had been spoiled for me. And so just a movie when I think movie that just knows how to take a simple concept and then craft something that takes advantage of that concept to its potential. It doesn't need big spectacle. It doesn't need all the shenanigans. It's just properly written about characters you care about in a scenario that's tense and exciting. That's what this movie is. A Quiet Place manages to be quiet, but still be quite thrilling. But the number one movie to go in the opposite direction from a very quiet place is to a big, loud place with Avengers Infinity War. So once again, I'm a big fan of the MCU. This is the one they've been working towards, building towards for several years now. And the hype was up at top levels, and I think they delivered on it. What I want out of a Marvel movie, out of a comic book movie, this is it. They gave me a great villain that I cared about. They had the stakes high enough that it actually you feel the weight of what's going on. And then just the pure excitement of seeing all these kind of characters interacting with one another just makes for an amazing cinematic experience, a great fun time. And it's something that the sort of thing that we never really thought we'd be able to see on the screen. And then Kevin Feige and his team found a way to crack the code to be able to bring to make winning franchises in and of themselves, standalone movies inside of themselves, but a shared universe in a way that no one seems to be able to come close to what they've been able to do. Certainly not with their consistency and not building up to an event like this movie that they've done. And so then when we get to that point in time where they're all together, it's just wonderful. And just even right now watching this and seeing in my little reflector deals Doctor Strange, and they're thinking, Doctor Strange was so good in that movie. I can't wait till I can own it and watch it again for just those little interactions with him and Tony. So easily for me, my top two are, and there's a pretty big gap between Black Panther and then way kind of up here. It's like, yeah, I don't know who's going to win at the end of the year. Maybe something even past these two, but between A Quiet Place and Avengers Infinity War, those are my picks for the year. Anyway, as I said, that's my take on it. How about you? If you like to talk movies with other movie fans, go ahead and join us down in the comment section. Give us your list. Biggest disappointment, biggest surprise, best comedy, kind of your bottom picks and your top picks for the year. So maybe you've seen some different stuff, maybe more garbage than I've seen, or maybe you've seen some of the better kind of prestige film. I focus a little bit more on the franchises, the big stuff, obviously, because of the nature of my channel. So I miss some of the actual great cinema that gets put out sometimes. So tell me down below, maybe you can tell me some movies that I missed and that I haven't talked about on my channel that I need to go see. Tell me those in the comment section. And if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos, but the key thing is I don't want to just talk about movies. I want to talk about movies with you. So join me down in the conversation. Give me your 2018 rundown. If you want to throw some other categories in the mix, if you would like to, go ahead and do so. And as always, thank you for watching.